Okay, look, we all know the main story. An elite super weapon attached itself to a 10-year-old and he becomes a superhero. And that's thanks to the device called the Omnitrix, a level 20 piece of tech that can transform the user into millions of possible life forms and has the potential to either save or destroy the entire universe. However, in Dimension 39, things turn out differently. Rather than a 10-year-old Ben Tennyson gaining the power of the Omnitrix, it is a 16-year-old Owen Tennyson who is nearly crushed by the meteorite that sends the Evotrix to Earth and just barely survives. Yes, this story is far more dark than the original, but we're not talking about that. We're here to talk about the Evotrix and what it is. The Evotrix is an extremely underrated fan-made variation of the Omnitrix created by yours truly. It is mostly a recolor of the Ultimatrix, however the actual device is so much more advanced in comparison. Its main function is to allow the user to transform into the physical prime of the species. However, this function also resulted in a glitch that mutated Owen's body, turning him from a skinny 16-year-old to a more buff but leaner in comparison. This device also has some minor functions that the Omnitrix has in common. However, the reason this is called the Evotrix instead is because its power source runs entirely differently, as it runs completely on Evomech and nanites to function and adapt, allowing the user to change the size of the Evotrix and connect to it telepathically, since it doesn't just connect on a genetic code, but to the very mind as well. I guess I should expand a bit more on the design, so let's get into it. The big button here is the one that turns the device into rest mode, as unlike the original Omnitrix, it requires time to charge and rest, allowing the Evotrix to function at 100% perfect capacity, despite some glitches. As for the many buttons, it allows Owen to switch between different settings. Number 1 is transformations. It allows the user to switch into any of the 40 available slots that transform into the species. However, due to yet another glitch, one spot that was originally filled for the Galvan species was removed since Azimuth had used the Evotrix's power prior to sending the device off, removing one of the slots, meaning Owen can only access 39 current species until it's fixed, hence 39. The second one is capture mode. It allows the user to scan any DNA sample, which keeps it into the database that may allow the user to further research their strengths and weaknesses for future encounters. Number 3 is history mode, allowing the user to again cycle through all the information gathered by number 2, capture mode. Number 4 is the energy pulse mode, which is normally in neutral, however this mode can be altered to either decrease the energy output for training or increase to send the enemies flying that are trying to take it. Number 5 is alter mode. Not only can it alter the size, but thanks to the Evotrix system, it can be modified to further suit the user, allowing Owen to either connect it to a charging device rather than placing it in rest mode, or allowing it to connect with his thoughts to the Evotrix mindset as well as many possible capabilities in the future. And number 6 is classified to not cause spoilers. To change or select a mode, you can simply press the designated button and touch the screen to activate it. With that out of the way, what about Owen's first accessible aliens? This is 10 total forms without the Galvan transformation. The transformation that replaces it is actually the Arbarian Palaroda, or in other words, Cannonbolts. Now let's cover each transformation. Owen's first transformation was into his Pyronite form named Cremation, as his flames are a lapis blue rather than a bright yellow, showing the form is much hotter than a normal Pyronite, with his peak reaching 10 times that of even the strongest of Pyronites. In comparison to Heat Blast, Cremation is 80% physically stronger and 40% faster. As a Volpomancer, Roughwire is more ferocious than even a wild Volpomancer. However, the Evotrix allows Owen to control him, for the most part. His fur is a tint of orange, but when he gets more serious, he turns into a more crimson red to scare off enemies, being far more intimidating as even his height in this state would reach 7 foot tall. His senses and movements are far more advanced too, with his speed being able to move faster than the human eye can track. In comparison to Wildmutt, Roughwire is 50% stronger, 25% faster, and his strongest would reach over 3 times this amp. As a Petrosapien, Crystal Fist is arrogant and proud. Being stoic of a hero, he can control and form constructs much more dense than normal. While it doesn't completely remove the species' weakness to high-frequency sounds, it does build up more of a resistance and control over them. It also allows Owen to grow and morph his body by building up crystals to his body. However, once detransforming, if the user does not leave the crystals, he'll get stuck. In comparison to Diamond Head, Crystal Fist is 120% stronger and 5% faster. As a Kincellan, Velociraptor has a far more hyperactive personality, getting bored real quickly and has much more quicker perception. But unlike Red Rush, he can control it to a greater extent. He also has his own anti-friction ability, allowing his body to be more durable enough to handle much faster speeds. In comparison to Accelerate, Velociraptor would be 20% stronger, over 100% faster, and over 80% more durable. As a Tetraman, Quad Force is more bulky than normal. Due to the Evotrix, the form is over 13 foot tall, and is capable of much more intense shockwaves simply by moving his hands fast enough. In comparison to Forearms, Quad Force is 140% stronger and 10% faster. As a Lepidopteran, haven't come up with a name yet, so comment down below some good suggestions, Owen has far sharper wings and a tail, allowing him to be more dangerous in combat. Thanks to the Evotrix, this form can not only move faster, but grant more control over the toxic gases and goo liquid in terms of toxicity and poisonous traits, which is very similar to Goop and UAF. In comparison to Stinkflight, this form is 25% stronger at 65% faster. As a viscous volan, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Riptide can use the water molecules to not only travel faster, but to keep him cooler for longer periods of time. He can use water in his body to fire in a similar way that Pyronites use flames. However, due to his body capacity, the more he uses water, the less time he has for keeping cool. So in comparison to Ripjaws, Riptide is also 30% stronger and 90% faster in water. As a galvanic Mechamorph, Update can merge with all forms of technology, even if Owen doesn't understand it himself, allowing him to merge and advance it to a state that wouldn't even be capable of reaching for thousands of years. In comparison to Upgrade, Update is 10% stronger, 30% faster, with his upgrades being 200% more efficient. As an Ecto-Neurite, Nightmeister can manipulate his phasing, allowing himself to bypass durability against stronger enemies. And thanks to the Evotrix, it has completely eliminated any chance of extra beings as a part of the DNA when sampled, meaning Owen will never have to deal with Siscare in this timeline. In comparison to Ghost Freak, Nightmeister is 40% stronger and 50% faster. And finally, as an Arbarian Palaroda, Groundshock can move from 0 to 100 with barely any momentum. However, with more momentum and his enhanced shell armor, he could destroy pretty much anything in his path if he's not careful. But like most other transformations, Owen holds back to not cause casualties. In comparison to Cannonbolt, Groundshot is 75% stronger, 25% faster, and 150% more durable. I can go much more in depth with the transformations, but maybe if everyone is interested, I may make a part 2 to this video. So here's where I play. So if you guys wonder where I was for the last, yikes, 2 months, I was working on my main channel where I upload Dragon Ball content, so if you're interested, go check it out. Also, if you liked the video, hit the like button. Why haven't you done that yet? Anyways, thanks for watching.